Ravenloft is utterly unique in D&D in a lot of ways. It changes the rules in many ways. You don't know the type of creature you're running into necessarily. Magic won't necessarily work the way that you're accustomed to. What are some really great rules, or at least guidelines, when it comes to running fear at the table?
Well, one of the cool things about it is that, for running fear in a horror game, it's largely up to you and your group. Like, if you don't need rules for it, if you don't want to really like break out the dice every time that like something scary comes up, or really lean into the frightened conditions, there are also elements in the book where we talk about, hey, as a player, if you're running a character, what might you be afraid of? How might you react to that? And what incentive might you get for leaning into the things that are your character's fear? One of the biggest systems in there is actually a very simple one, where it's just advice to players, where it's like, hey, think about the things that your character's afraid of, and work with your DM to, like, have those written down, have those be a part of your character's background. And when the time comes, if it's appropriate and that's expressed in a way that works with the story, hey, maybe that's something that you can get inspiration out of. Maybe you get a little bit of a benefit just for, hey, you're in a horror game and you're rolling with it. Beyond that, we provide a bunch of other guidance that's more DM facing for when is it appropriate to, reward players for that sort of element, to use conditions like frightened or other effects to really have fear of be not just a narrative construction, but something that affects the way that the game plays.
I noticed in the book there are a lot of different elements that like encourage players to buy into fear, and I feel like the dark gifts are like a very good example of this. You get this definite positive, right? But you have signed up for
Yeah.
possibly, if you roll a 1 and then you roll on this other table, you may have the fear condition, or be charmed, or be overcome by a cacophony of voices. But I like that this is not something that takes away player agency. This is the player buying in and saying, okay, this is the way I am haunted, or this is the way I am altered ahead of time.
Exactly. I mean, we didn't want to make Ravenloft feel like, hey, it's that setting with all those penalties. Like, don't you love to have your character run away? Like, you're normally like a stalwart hero, but in this particular case, which sure is a zombie, run for it.
Right.
So much of the good storytelling moments, and really, like, to be perfectly honest, the most hammed up, the most like, ooh, the players are getting into it, is when it's something that they know is coming, that they're there for, that they've bought into it, and it's part of their character creation. It's what they enjoy. They have a character that's terrified of tight spaces. All of a sudden, a DM is like, ooh, okay, well, I guess every hall in this haunted house all of a sudden just got really compacted in. I mean, and then you've got an experience that is not just customized to your group, but then your players, if they're down for that and they enjoy that sort of play, have the opportunity to really take the spotlight from this horrific moment.
But it's all good advice for like even beyond Ravenloft, and that's what I like about it, because you have to be willing to be afraid as a player, and I think that's good advice in general. Like you being willing to play a flawed character that maybe isn't always the paladin that charges in and they know everything's going to be okay. That's not as fun as having deep flaws and fears and all this stuff that every normal person would have, like a real
Yeah.
character, a character that is fleshed out. We all have fears. We all have things that are maybe a trigger or frighten us. So it makes sense that our characters will as well. And that gives them like so much more depth. And that's what I like about the kind of role-playing guidelines in this,
Yeah.
including like, don't necessarily make a comedy out of Ravenloft. Is supposed to be a scary place. Also, comedy kind of happens whether you want it to or not. So it's not one like there may be a moment so scary that you all laugh because
Sure.
there is no choice.
And those are great tension breakers in a story as well. I mean, one of the best ways to become an effective horror DM, watch horror movies, like read horror books, like watch what the directors are doing, because the goals in many cases are the same. Like, I think we've all seen the movie where, like, and by the movie I mean the hundreds of movies where it's like, and they're creeping through, and then the cat jumps out. It's like, oh, it was just the cat. But then a second later, it's really the killer. It's just like, in that moment, you have that shock, oh, release, stupid cat, funny moment. But then it comes right back with the suspense and the horror there. You can play all of these tricks at your table as well.
Perhaps one of the most famous moments, I would say, and this isn't a cat, but the original John Carpenter, The Thing, and the moment where the head is crawling back in the background, and they all turn around slowly, and I won't say what the man says, but it was what everyone in the audience was thinking. And it was like just the one joke in the whole thing.
and it's a beautiful moment, because you're right. It's this memorable scene. It's this funny scene in the face of like this absolute like cosmic terror. And the only reaction is just like, seriously? Like, what? No.
If you want to watch more videos on Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, we've got a whole lot more coming up. If you want to support the channel, you can check out the Amazon affiliate link in the description and purchase the book, or just like, subscribe, share with your friends, and leave some comments down below. I love talking about Ravenloft, so I'm going to keep doing it. I hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you so much for watching.